knowing full well when you're watching this that people aren't going to be okay, that this isn't going to be okay, this isn't going to end well. It's heartbreaking.
Angela lives on the 19th floor in the block opposite Grenfell Tower. After last night, she's now extremely concerned about the fire risk in her own building.
The first thing that came to my mind at 3 a.m. this morning was just what's the security protocol here, like for this building. If something were to happen similar to that, what would I do? Where would my parents go? How would we get out quickly?
This fire again raises questions about London's housing stock. The last major fatal fire in a tower block was at Lakanal House in Southwark in 2009. 6 people died. After that, the coroner made recommendations. The government should clarify if residents should stay put or get out if there's a fire. Council should retrofit sprinklers and simplify building regulations about what can be changed.
The chances of getting a fire are very low. But
in 2010, the London Assembly also highlighted concerns about the capital's high-rise housing stock.
We found that there was a relatively low risk of actually having a fire in a tall building, so you are really fairly safe. But the big problem is if there is a fire, then advice is often not given about the right way to behave. Landlords are probably not giving enough information to their tenants, but also councils perhaps not giving enough advice to the landlords.
According to City Hall, about 8% of London's population live in high-rise flats. That's blocks over 11 stories tall, around 690,000 people. Most were built in the late 60s and early 70s, but more are now planned for the future as the capital grows. There have been changes. Southwark Council says it now gives a regular full fire risk assessment to its blocks. But fire unions and campaigners have for many years been calling for the government to review building regulations.
Lessons have not been learned. Today is an absolute tragedy, and it's caused by the lack of proper regulation of refurbishment standards. The government have been pressed for a number of years by the all-party parliamentary committee on safety to do a review of the building regulations to test the integrity of materials that are used in refurbishments, and they have continually put this off.
The government says that work is still ongoing, and checks will now be carried out on blocks going through similar refurbishment. But there is now anger and questions.
What happened in Lakanal House is after it had been refurbished, the refurbishment had compromised that fire compartmentalisation and the fire spread. And it looks like that's what's happened in Grenfell House, that it's been refurbished and that compartmentalisation of the fire has been compromised, so it's spread and people lost their lives.
There's been a lot of publicity around what should be done around external cladding, making sure that tower blocks are fireproofed inside properly and compartmentalised, which means that fire shouldn't spread beyond a flat, say, where it breaks out. So fire should be contained there for a period of time that enables people either to be evacuated or for the fire brigade to get there and deal with the incident. It's difficult to see why this has happened, and there's really not many excuses for it.
Musa also lives in the block opposite. He hasn't been able to contact a friend who lived in Grenfell Tower.
Where the flames are, if you move to the right, you can see that there's a gap there where the smoke is about right now. That is where she used to live.
While it isn't clear why this fire happened, it is very clear that safeguards failed. Tom Edwards, BBC London News.